believe so.
Can we test his mic real quick, Deb? Try. You want to test it real fast?
Test, test, test. Yep.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good to me.
All right. Should be good.
Good morning again, First Baptist. If you'd find a comfortable seat, we'll get started. Good morning, First Baptist family. I'd like to call our semi-annual business meeting to order. As a way of short introduction, as most of you are aware, we are required by bylaws to have 2 meetings a year. One usually at the beginning of the year, December, January, more January these days than December, and one in the summer. Generally, the one in January is to discuss budget and really is the business meeting where we do voting. The summer meeting is an opportunity to celebrate. It's an opportunity for us to look at what's been happening in our church, our mission as a church, where we've been, and just as importantly, where we're going. So today will be a chance to hear. We each kind of get bits and pieces of what's been going on. Today will be an opportunity for Dan to sort of pull everything together, talk about where we've been and the exciting things that have happened over the past couple of years, particularly this year. And there's a lot been going on. Then we want to shift our focus, look towards the coming year. And that's in hopes of getting you excited about what's coming, because there are things that are exciting that are coming. And we start looking towards the fall, and when we look into our own personal stewardship and how we as individuals can contribute to this mission that we have as a church. So with that, I'd like to invite Pastor Dan up to talk to us about where we've been and where we're going.
Do you want to open us with prayer?
My bad. I should open us with prayer. So, if you would bow your heads and join me. God, you are our Lord. You are our Creator, as we heard this morning. You are the one who sustains us. You are the one who loves us. You are the one that provides for us. And as we gather today at this business meeting, let us rejoice and take joy in the things that you've allowed us to accomplish. Let us also look to the future, divine your plan, and follow it. And we ask all these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Okay. As Jay said, the intent of the summer meeting is not to discuss budget or nominations and the leadership of the church. The intent of the summer meeting is to address specific business. Think about in your mind those special called business meetings we had in order to discuss the repairs on the bell tower, for instance. That would be one of the purposes. Another purpose might be to plan new ventures. If you were here and around when we go way back to when I first got here and we were discussing at the summer business meeting the plan to bring on or to begin a pastoral residency program. This would fall under that kind of idea. And the third reason that we meet in the summer is to dialogue about the church's mission goals, which sounds very vague and amorphous if you don't stop to think about what we've been up to for the last 3 years. I would actually say these are the little things that actually become the foundation of everything we do. And today what I want to do is to focus on some of those specific church mission goals as we've described them, gone through them over the last 1.5 to 2 years. We have no specific business to talk about today, no new ventures to discuss, but we have lots to dialogue about the church's goals and missions, and so it's going to look a little bit different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to, rather than invite all the chairs to come up and say a little bit about what they've been up to in a programmatic fashion, whatever goals they have accomplished, I want to do something a little bit different. What I would like for us to do is to hear a little bit about 4 key success stories that I think serve as powerful metaphors for what it looks like when we get living into our mission correct. When we get it right, it looks like these types of things, okay? And we think that these stories, these successes, actually speak to not just where we've been trying to go, but who we are becoming as a church at an identity level, okay? Sound good? Okay, you ready? The first focus we had in the past couple of years is, I'm not following my own script very well today, is the goal was to be inviting. You'll remember on October 15th, we had a special called business meeting. This was in 2023, where we discussed something about how our church had been very welcoming, but we hadn't actually been very good at being inviting in recent years. We're always good once somebody walks in the door, but we hadn't been good at inviting them to come through the door, if that makes sense. And at that meeting, the executive council introduced you to an idea it had been working on for about 1.5 years, an idea that is both true to who this church already is, but also an ideal that we are trying to work toward. So we called it You Matter Here, and it's become sort of our returning emphasis, the goals, the mission goals with which we return to and say, are we living into that? We started trying to think through how we lived into it in every facet of the church, online, in person, and how we think about guests in our building, how we use our space to serve our neighbors. We have worked to integrate it not only into how we market ourselves, but actually into who we're trying to frame us to become as a church body. Okay? Then Shazia, who would have shared this story with you in person, but because we knew she was going to be out of town, we ended up recording it. Then Shazia shared this story with me, and I thought it was a pretty profound example of us living into this.
Here at First Baptist Church, we have a mission statement that you matter here. We see it everywhere on posters, outside the building, inside the building, and we talk about it a lot. It's a really incredible moment when we get to hear about how that's playing out in our community. One of my goals as the music director here at First Baptist Church is to not just enhance service with wonderful music and musicians from all around the community, but to really make sure that they feel that when they are visiting us, they experience who we are as a church, that they matter too. To experience just that when my friend and colleague Ed Kelly Sanford, violinist, world-class violinist who plays in a lot of different professional settings, came and blessed us with his gifts during worship service. What was really incredible to experience with Ed that Sunday was that as a musician, he is used to getting applause, getting thanked for his musical contributions. But by the end of worship service and the few minutes afterwards, I looked over at Ed's face and he was almost in tears. You could really see the warmth and the love that was extended to him, the deep appreciation for him being here, and how the music moved the congregation in such a way that they were moved to love on him as well. And I looked at Ed's face and I just saw him moved in a way I've never seen him moved before. We're really grateful for the live stream and how it was able to capture just a very high quality representation of what was offered in service that morning. What it didn't capture was the minutes after following service, where I saw all of you lined up to give Ed your thanks, your deep appreciation, and I heard comments like, I was so moved today in service that his music was able to connect your head and your heart and set the tone for your own worship experience. Your words of affirmation and the way you spoke from the heart touched Ed's heart as well. So at the end of the day, not only did we receive wonderful music for worship service, but Ed left feeling loved, appreciated, and like he truly mattered here.
You know, I used to say a lot that I know something is taking hold in our congregation when I catch one of you using my words as if you thought them up for yourself. I have said it enough that you start saying it. My favorite example was when Sid was still here and was greeting folks, and I remember him taking a bag with cookies in it over to a new guest, and he gave that couple my spiel that I would do every morning before worship, and I thought, it's sticking. Let me tell you, that's nothing compared to whenever I'm gone and I hear how you treated a guest in our building. Someone who may not feel welcome in new spaces like that, particularly used to being a performer, a transactional relationship, and somehow the words that you offered moved this man to tears, that he felt like he was actually seen and heard in a real way and valued. You can repeat my words all you want. Just keep doing that, okay? That's who we're becoming. Another way we talk about this is that we've wanted for the last probably, I would say, 12 months, we've been talking about being connected. And what we mean by that is that we've wanted to provide higher quality and more regular communication across the church. Because how can you have a voice here or be engaged if you don't know what's happening? And so there's been a concerted effort at an early all-teams meeting focused on ministry gaps. I'll never forget. Chelsea Wood stood up. We were talking about these gaps. Where are these places where we tend to fall through a hole and we're not providing the ministry in the right place? And Chelsea Wood stood up and said, you might want to consider meeting people where they're at, which is online. We had almost no virtual presence at that time. We had a website that's more like a brochure, but no interactive way of engaging with others. And so that initial conversation where Chelsea's voice was heard and valued and held up has led to a point where this year, beginning in January, we hired Sierra Spencer as our first content creator and manager, a very part-time job she does for us, but it was a role designed to help us make our virtual spaces as welcoming and as inviting as we know our Sunday morning in this space is. And so that started in January of 2025, and this is a little taste of how that's been going, another little video that I asked her to put together. It will be a little hard to read some of the stats and things, so I may speak over the top in a couple of places so you can see it. But she wanted you to get a feel for what it looks like to be on Facebook and on other social media platforms on our website.
Baptist? Because I love the sense of community and connectedness that we have in the congregation.
The camera adds 10 pounds, they tell me. So in the last 90 days, our views are up 107%. Likes, shares, and comments are up 57% in that same time frame. We've had 35,000 views of our Facebook page over the last 3 months. And of course, statistics speak to the engagement in the online circle. And what we really want to know is if our messaging is getting through and if we're actually engaging people with kind of authentic messages about who we really are. So, here in a minute, I think it's going to talk a little bit more about that. Uh, 712 total followers on Facebook, up 7% over the last 90 days. Photos are the most viewed type of media with 39%, and 62% of those views are from non-followers, meaning they're reaching outside of our actual people who would participate on Facebook as members. So it's one thing to scroll through Facebook and see the pretty photos. It's another thing to stop, like, write a comment, that type of thing, right? And particularly around the Make a Splash Bash, which was our preview night for Praise Camp, we ran an ad that went out on Facebook first. And I believe, I'm looking around, I think they left, but we have some new folks here at the church. Little Jack, who just promoted into youth. Little Jack, that's kind of diminutive, isn't it? Jacqueline, who just promoted into youth, and her mom and dad came because of that. We actually gained 5 families from Facebook, 10 new kids total at Praise Camp, which meant 25% of our Praise Campers came from engagement through social media, through Facebook.
Desires of the heart ought to be shaped by the principles of the kingdom of God. Things like compassion, peace, justice.
Did you guys notice he's quoting me right there?
People in need, 504,000
Isn't it interesting to you that the moment of revelation in this story isn't when...
Hey guys, my favorite thing about Praise Camp is watching the kids have fun.
So, over the last 8 months now, Sierra's been keeping tabs and making our presence much more known in the virtual spaces, trying to make it as reflective of us as we might have seen if they were actually able to come be here with us. Now, I will tell you, hardly a week goes by where I don't have somebody from the community within Colorado Springs or beyond actually reach out to me and say, man, what are you guys doing on your Facebook page? What's happening there? We want to copy that, especially among the downtown pastors. They're all very jealous. They say, what did you do to get your Facebook page like that? And I said, I hired somebody. I said, somebody else take this, please, and so I take very little credit for that. And I will also say I even took a phone call from a sister congregation in Kansas just this last week who was reaching out because they had stumbled across our website and were saying, okay, how much thousands of dollars are you all spending to have somebody design a website and make it look that good and sound that friendly? And they just assumed we had contracted out to a firm and we're spending $10,000 a year keeping our website up and running. And it's mostly been us, folks. We're doing it. We're doing the work. We're not really spending money to get that kind of information. And so we're getting positive feedback from the wider world that our online spaces, some of these goals we've been working towards, are taking root. They're providing positive and worthy models to example. And in a world like the virtual space where most of the information is questionable, negative, bullying, trolling each other, it's nice to know that our site and our Facebook page are standing out in these positive ways. Again, I missed my cue. Again, another cue we had was to be good stewards in the year. Another goal we had was to be good stewards in the year, particularly as we began to reclaim underutilized spaces in our building for ministry purposes and to help offset some of our own income challenges. We thought there's a dual answer here. We'll rent some spaces to people who want to serve our neighbors who are committed to downtown, and we'll bring in a little income that will help us offset some of the deficit. And that was all intended to be practiced to be better stewards of our building, right? That meant two primary changes for us. It meant renting out underutilized spaces so that our building could be used as it was intended for serving our neighbors and our community. It also meant reorienting how we think about what spaces are ours, right? Let's be honest. We had to adapt and give up some comfort in order to better use our building. Godly Play, for years, had the luxury of having two big Sunday school rooms upstairs in the education wing, and they moved down to the main floor to a much smaller single-room space. And all of a sudden, we went from having 6 kids to having 16 kids, and they didn't all quite fit. Okay? I don't think those two things are necessarily unrelated. I think some of that growth comes with some of these other initiatives and focus that we've had in becoming a more intentional church. The fellowship class. Raise your hands, fellowship class. The fellowship class moved to a smaller space, less comfortable space, vacated the fellowship hall for us, and that has equipped us to utilize the fellowship hall in a much more regular and intentional fashion. We have a new Sunday school class that meets in that space that's been meeting for about 8 months. Praise Camp uses that space. AA uses that space twice a week. The Thinkering Lab, who rents space from us when they have summer camps, their kids go down and use the fellowship hall as their cafeteria, their lunch space for the day. We've also begun using it for all teams meetings, potlucks. Think about this. It wasn't that long ago that Myra and I talked about it and said, we'd be lucky if we could get potlucks to fly again. And now Now, I'm going to start disinviting people so we have enough space down there. We're going to all draw numbers and enter a lottery to get to go to the potluck. And the evolution of that, what it means to stay after church and go downstairs and share a meal with your family, has evolved. A couple of weeks ago, during Praise Camp Sunday, you remember we had all these guests, this packed house, all the energy, the kids. And afterwards, we all gathered downstairs to celebrate somebody, didn't we? She loves being the center of attention. She's going to hate this. We all gathered downstairs to celebrate somebody's birthday. It really, I would say, and this has nothing to do with whether Kathy Wakerly deserves to be celebrated or not, but I think if that same party had been thrown 3 years ago, you'd have had 40 people downstairs. Not because Kathy's not deserving, because we were out of practice of spending time with each other. In the time sense, we've practiced. And so, when it came to Kathy Wakerly's 80th birthday party, you all showed up in force.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Just look.
Birthday, dear Kathy. Happy birthday to you.
Fellowship hall full. Because that's what family does. And we didn't just celebrate Kathy that day, did we? Do you remember what happened after we sang happy birthday to Kathy on her 80th? Jennifer, her own daughter, took the 0 candle off the cake, relit it, and took it over to little Tegan, who shares a birthday with Kathy and happened to be turning 8. Friends, these seem like small things. This is church. This is what it means. Small things are leading to big changes here at FBC. We strive to be more inviting, and this is the way God works. We become more loving. We work to be more connected, and we become a beacon of positive engagement in virtual spaces. We work to become better stewards of our space, and in the process, we become better stewards of each other. This is what it looks like. And as we look to the year ahead, we're going to continue to move in that direction. In the year ahead, we're going to encourage you to be intentional, not just about how we think about and do ministry, as in the programs, but how you are when you're in this building. A couple of weeks ago, last week, did you all notice? Sorry, Kathy. I'm going to put attention on Kathy again. I went reaching under the pulpit before I preached for my water, and I only found air. I blame Bill Wolf for this, by the way. Only found air. Kathy forgot, first time maybe in 10 years. Forgot to put water in the pulpit. You know why she forgot to put water in the pulpit? Because she was too busy welcoming 2 guests, first time in the building, making sure they got down to fellowship time, got distracted doing the right thing, and forgot the water, which didn't matter. Somehow, I still got the sermon out. It's called being intentional when you're in the space. Looking around and seeing who you don't recognize. Introducing yourself. Welcoming them. Inviting them to participate somewhere else. Getting to know their names. so that the next time they're here, they can start feeling like they're part of the family too. I've asked Kristen to share a little bit about a time in recent history where we can talk a bit about what it means to be intentional in our ministries here.
I didn't know there'd be so many videos, or I might have prepared one. As you may remember, and especially from our videos, our theme this year at Praise Camp was to make a splash. Our campers learned how to trust God in the storms of life and how they can make a difference in their personal circle, their community, and their world. As Sierra, Shazia, Dan, and I were developing the curriculum, I was personally inspired to involve our campers in a hands-on mission project that would benefit our partner ministry, La Puente. Every summer, our campers rally together and they raise money for a partner ministry. It's been a joyful tradition, usually ending with our pastors being water ballooned, in a dunk tank, pie in the face, and this year slimed, as you saw. I loved personally. It's always very satisfying for me to see that. And we benefit La Puente. I'm just kidding, I love you. So we are really making an impact in those ministries through financial contribution. This year, I reached out to David Schneider, who's the Director of Volunteer Coordination at La Puente, and I asked him, in what way can we tangibly help contribute to the ministry of La Puente? We do health kits here. We've just helped them in many ways, but we're always Praise Camp thinking monetary. How can we help them? And he responded in a completely unexpected way by asking us to make dog kits for the people they serve, especially from the street outreach. They have dogs with them. Some of them are service dogs. Some of them are just companion dogs. This was a surprising ask because we just usually think of serving the people who benefit from La Puente, not their animals. But it turned out to be absolutely perfect for our campers. During the week, our volunteers taught our campers about La Puente and explained what that project would entail. And on the final day of camp, the campers all helped pack the essentials into a bag. Dog food, treats, and water, as well as non-essentials that many people may not be able to splurge on, such as a bowl, a tennis ball to play, and poop cleanup bags. Finally, a note stuck on the front explained who packed the bags, and each camper had the opportunity to write or draw a kind message that said, "Have a great day," or "I hope this makes your dog happy." These dog food bags represent the type of ministry that we might not have initiated ourselves and has served as a starting point for mission projects that help shape our future kids into the people who want to serve the community around them and can see the impact it can have. The children and youth in our church, the youth were involved in this too, got to see some of the people on video who benefit from La Puente's services and got to experience serving God and serving others in a very special way. I actually received an email a couple of weeks ago from David that I'd like to share. It said, "Hi, Kristen. The dog care bags the kids made were a hit, both among shelter guests as well as street outreach clients. The notes were beautifully heartfelt and the contents are well used. I am so glad you did this. Thank you." Thank you for all of your support in Praise Camp, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to direct it, as it brings me a lot of joy and inspiration.
Don't you just want a Slimer after a presentation like that? I do. Who would have thought? The last thing I ever would have thought, that we would be doing as a mission project bags for dogs experiencing homelessness. And yet, because one of our own was intentional, purposeful, and how she thought about how kids could engage and help in this moment, here we are, making kits for dogs. Because we love on people by loving on those they care about. Good ministry doesn't have to be big or grand. It just has to be purpose-filled. Now, let me tell you, for 10 years, Kristen, Jennifer, and others have been purposeful in the way they have chosen to lead children in the ministries of FBC, Sunday school, praise camp, and otherwise. 10 years of doing the small things correctly. 10 years of evaluating and making small changes and trying to do things just a little bit better. 10 years of commitment to the children's ministries of this church. And do you know what that's led to? This past week, we were nominated to participate in a national cohort of churches who exemplify best practices in children's ministry in our denomination. So this spring, Kristen and a few others will hopefully be participating at a national level, developing the way American Baptist churches will move forward in ministry as it relates to children and children in worship. Small things over 10 years lead to big things. It's about faithfulness with the small things. So, we don't have to be or do anything flashy or grand or over the top. We just have to be purposeful and faithful with the little bit with which we have been entrusted. In the year ahead, on your ministry teams, in your Sunday school classes, when you enter this space, I want you to be purposeful with how you spend your time here. Who needs prayer? Who needs to be welcomed? Who needs to be invited to a Sunday school class where they can build real community? Who needs to be reached out to during the week? Who wasn't here that needs to be followed up with? If we're going to say you matter here, we have to live it. All right, that's my part.
Thank you, Dan. I don't know about you, but wow, that got me right here. Every one of those stories just makes me feel that we're here for a purpose. Each of us is part of that purpose, and I'm so glad I'm a part of that purpose. And I hope that each of you are as well. So as we close out this semi-annual business meeting, take what you've seen, mull it over, understand where we've been, and help us as we move forward to be even more purposeful than we are now. Help us to continue the growth, and you know we've seen it. As I look around this sanctuary on Sunday morning, the back used to be kind of a desert. It is no longer a desert. And that is because of who we are and because of the reason that we have chosen the words that we've chosen. You matter here. Because we live into those words. And as we live into those words, there are people out there who will gravitate to those words and discover God in the process. So with that, as we close out this business meeting, I'd like Dan to offer up one last prayer before we go, so that we leave this place in the spirit that God intends.
Before I do, we should make sure we've given you a chance to voice any questions, comments, thoughts, whether about this or something else that you have. Hang on, we're going to use a mic because it's getting live streamed. Let's make sure we get that.
I just kind of reiterating some of what's already been said. We were looking for a church when we came here, and we had other churches to go visit. But because you made us feel like family, my wife said, "Mark, can we go back next Sunday to the same church?" And then the Sunday after that, "Can we come back again?" You see, when you're doing what they were talking about and you make us feel like part of the family of Christ here, that's purposeful.
Thank you. I see Michelle and Jim's up too.
I wanted to just give, because we're talking about the stewardship of those that can't be here in person, and I wanted to really acknowledge the live stream team.
Absolutely.
Brian's work with them and our volunteers every week. I think a lot of people don't realize that every person in there is a volunteer, and we've had the same people back there week after week, so they are taking time away from their ability to worship in the sanctuary so that the people at home can have that experience, and they have worked tirelessly along with Devin to make the experience as close to being in person as you can be if you are away. So everyone, I think sometimes Dev back there, them in the live stream room, sometimes they're not as available to be thanked and to receive that gratitude. So I just want to really shout everyone out for that.
They can hear us, so if we clap,
Yes,
they can hear us.
that's
Thank you, live
yes.
stream team.
Thank you, Jonas. Thank you, Kurt.
Dan, we would like to thank you for your leadership with our church. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
I'd like to say that on Tuesday mornings, the sewing group continues to meet, and we have grown in an unusual way in that people that weren't part of this church family have already invited other people to come, and whether they stay and come week after week or whether they come and experience us, and we don't whisper, "You matter" here, but I think they can feel it.
Absolutely.
And also, I would just like to say that Phyllis Davidson, who had another fall way back in the spring and doesn't attend, but she sends packages and we send things to her. I wish we could see her, but she's very much a part of us too, which
Good.
is excellent.
Thanks, Barbara. Any other topics that are on your brain, pressing, comments, questions? I can tell it's lunchtime. Do what? A plug for La Puente. Gleaning. What's the date? 13th of September is gleaning at La Puente. Which, by the way, is on the bulletin cover today. Is a gleaning, is one of those days we went and gleaned carrots. That was a fun day. I was there that day. They literally gave us shovels, took us to a fresh carrot field and said, "Take as many as you want." And so it wasn't even gleaning, it was just harvesting that day. Yeah, the guy that owned the farm helped us too. Okay. Let me close this with a word of prayer. God, we are so thankful for the opportunity to reflect, to celebrate, and to think with real intention about who it is you're calling us to be. I give you thanks for this congregation, for the ways in which they have lived into this call, exemplified it in the lives of others, and become for others a safe place, a harbor, where they can gather spend time with you, love and be loved, be challenged to live more intentionally in the footsteps of Jesus. God, give us the energy and the faithfulness to continue on this path, and give us the wisdom to measure our steps. It is in your Son's name we pray. Amen. Thank you all. Jay says, meeting, it's official. There you go.